This is a pro-inflammatory organism. So the more of it, it's like a red flag of inflammation. And because of this, then we say, okay, if you have protobacteria, you have to have vitamin D3, you have to have fibers, and this sort of thing. If you have Candida, oh, stop eating the sugar, my friend.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. Welcome back to another episode where on today's episode, we talk not about the microbiome, but the mycobiome. That's right, the fungus that occurs in our gut. Did you know that the fungus in our gut actually has a lot to do with our health, with our performance and longevity? That's right. And on today's podcast, we actually have the master of the fungal universe. Dun, 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 dun. I feel like doing that from He-Man. If you guys remember the theme from that. But we actually have a leading fungal or mycobiome expert. Now, if you're new to this podcast, welcome in this podcast. We bring in thought leaders from the health, wellness, and longevity space and how you can use these tips to enhance your performance and your longevity. If you haven't already, please pick up a copy of my book, Thrive State, Your Blueprint for Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance, and learn the tools to create this energetic life force so you could tap into your own peak performance and longevity. For all those that have been following the podcast, thank you so much for making this podcast a huge success. If you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, on today's episode, we bring something new to the scene. People have heard about the microbiome. People everywhere are actually talking about the microbiome, which is the colonies of the microorganisms that inhabit, protect, and nurture our bodies. You know, there was a time when most people thought bacteria are bad, but now millions of people are embracing that probiotics contain good bacteria, and it's all important to maintain a healthy microbiome. But herein lies a problem. There's a popular misconception that the microbiome contains nothing but bacteria, but that's a big mistake. The microbiome actually contains another world of living organisms that most of us have not considered. Fungi. Now, I'm not talking about me, a fun guy, but actually fungi as in fungus. Now, over 40 years ago, a lone scientist began exploring this critical but neglected inhabitant of the human body. Born and raised in Lebanon, Dr. Mahmoud Ghannoum is actually the director of the Center of Medical Mycology at Case Western Reserve University, one of the top 25 medical research universities in the United States. He began his scientific journey in England, studying Candida, a species of fungi that, when allowed to grow uncontrolled, can lead to candidiasis, an infection that afflicts millions of people worldwide. Now, for the longest time, Dr. Ghannoum's work was only known to a minority within the scientific community. While many people have heard of Candida, few people actually have any idea of the critical role that fungus plays in human health. Through his research, Dr. Ghannoum established that fungal organisms constitute an essential part of the microbiome. In fact, in 2010, Dr. Ghannoum was the first scientist to identify over 100 native species of fungi in the oral cavity. Like with bacteria, there are good fungi as well as bad fungi. And just as it was startling to discover that we need positive bacteria in our guts, most people today are shocked to learn that their health depends on flourishing colonies of helpful fungi. So, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this conversation with Dr. Mahmoud Ghannoum. Welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm actually here at the A4M for a special edition where I interview the experts in the field of health, wellness, and longevity. And with me here, we have Dr. Ghannoum, who's actually a world-leading expert in the microbiome. We've heard the microbiome so much from so many different people here. Now, before we actually get into the microbiome, I do a segment on my show called the 5 to Thrive. 5 questions, 15-second answers only. Okay. And if you win,
then I'll get you a beverage of your choice, a healthy beverage of your choice while we're here in Vegas. Are you ready to play?
I am ready, and thanks for having me.
All right, question number one was, as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I really did not know what I want to be, but then I just took it as it comes, and then suddenly I ended up in science.
Amazing. Question number two, what is one book that you've read that changed the way you saw the world?
This is very tough question. But
First one that pops to your mind.
Really, I really like to read about history.
Yeah.
And one of the books is about the rise and fall of empire, how the world changes, and that really affected me to start understanding more about history and what's going on.
Amazing
And
history.
I really love it.
All right, question number three was, if you had to pick a song to sing in front of a crowded people, what song would you sing?
It's raining men.
Oh, wow, all right. Hallelujah. Question number four is, what is one of your most favorite biohacks? Like a technology or something that you do for your health that you enjoy most?
I tell you, the best thing I do
Yeah.
is I take my dog for a walk.
Oh, that's amazing. You get outdoor activity, you get to be in nature, and you get exercise.
And this dog I have, people know now that I love him because after a long day's work and a lot of dealing with so many people, you take this animal and he loves you out
Unconditional.
in nature unconditionally, and you have a great time.
You know what? People may not know, but pets are actually known to make people live longer because they get more exercise, they increase oxytocin for us, only because we share that connection with them. Very good. Last question for you is, how would you like to be remembered?
I hope people remember me for being able to translate my scientific research to help them in different ways. I really hope so. Because this is, as a scientist, this is not easy. A lot of the time we do a lot of basic science, but never translates.
Yes.
So I hope that what I'm doing translate and help people.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get into some of the science now. So let's talk a little bit about the microbiome. So most of my listeners have already heard about it. We know it's a basically microscopic particles, viruses, fungus, bacteria, not only in our gut, but in our entire system. So tell me how you got interested in the microbiome, and tell me about the research leading up to what's happening now with your company.
Sure. I mean, I really started looking into the microbiome when I used to go to these meetings and everybody talking about the microbes, which is the germs that live in our body. But everybody was talking about bacteria.
Yeah.
And because of my background, I am a mycologist, like somebody who studied fungus. I said,
he's a fun guy.
I am Definitely, I make people laugh. I say, listen, I am a fun guy. Okay. So that when I heard people talking about the bacteria, I said, no, we really need to look at the total microbiome, which includes bacteria and fungus, and they live together in our body. And that's what really got me excited about it, and start looking into how can we characterize the microbiome, both with bacteria and fungus, in our mouth, in our gut, and that's really what got me into it.
I see. You know, when I look at ecosystems, everything plays a part because they all contribute to one another. And you can't just isolate one part of the ecosystem and think you understand the entire ecosystem, which is why I like the approach of looking at different microbes within the gut.
I absolutely agree with you. And that's why I say, even though I am a fungi, it doesn't mean you should only study fungus. You should look at fungus, bacteria, and if you can, with the technology, the viruses as well. So, as you say, you want to look at the total ecosystem because they are not just sitting there, they play together. They can play together to help us or hurt us.
So, right now, if somebody who is just starting to hear about the microbiome, how do they know, are the microbes in my body doing okay right now, or is there something off with the microbes? How would somebody know?
There are a couple of ways to do this. We actually, as a company, started a quiz called guttesting.com. You can get it at guttesting.com.
Okay.
This episode of the Thrive State podcast is brought to you by the Thrive State Accelerator. The Thrive State Accelerator is actually a home course that I developed using the exact same techniques I work with my celebrity clients, CEOs, and executives on how to get them to the Thrive State. The Thrive State Accelerator teaches you how to master your 7 bioenergetic elements. That's sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, relationships, our thoughts and mindset, as well as purpose. In this Thrive State Accelerator, you're also going to get a bonus module on optimization. That's how I talk about supplementation, peptides, all the optimization techniques I use with my clients to get them to the Thrive State. Now, for some of you who are just joining us for the first time, you guys might be wondering, what is the Thrive State? Well, the Thrive State is actually the energy, the epigenetic environment we give to ourselves, telling our DNA how to act and how to respond. And if we want optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, if we can master these 7 bioenergetic elements, our ability to have those 3 things that we just said, optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, is at its greatest. And it also prevents you from getting chronic symptoms like brain fog, being overweight, feeling sluggish, acne, pain, all these chronic symptoms, as well as preventing you from getting chronic disease. So getting to that Thrive State is really getting to that state to master being that very best version of yourself so you could show up for you, for your family, for your business, everything that's important to you. So go ahead, check it out right now at kienvu.com/accelerator and use coupon code podcast25 for 25% off. Now back to the podcast.
And you have to answer some questions, So if you have certain conditions, okay, then it will tell you presumptively, or it's possible that you have out of balance. Also, remember, when you have your tummy is hurting, some bloating, some issues you have, even anxiety, then you think, oh, there is something wrong, let me check the microbiome. Okay? So one thing very quick is the gut testing. But to know more specifically about you in person, you have to do a test where you send your stool sample, fecal sample, as you know it.
So just put it in an envelope and send it out.
Send it, and then it will be analyzed.
Right.
But using new technology, and that's why we are lucky. Now we have the next generation sequencing, which has allowed us to look at this.
Now, do the postal service know that they're handling fecal material when they get your bags? What's in this thing?
No, you have, that's why when you want to ship it, you have special envelope, this sort of thing.
Please ship it, don't shit it. Or actually, no, you shit it, then you ship it.
Yeah, this sequence is better
than
the other way.
All right, so they send it in, and so what exactly is it testing for? Is it testing the DNA of the microbes? What type of test
What
is
we
it
test
exactly?
is we extract the DNA of the microbe.
Okay.
And
Of
then
everything that's in there.
Everything that's there.
Okay.
And then you use what you call next generation sequencing.
Okay.
You look at both bacteria and fungus.
Okay.
And then you see, we already know what is the profile of healthy people because we have analyzed thousands of samples. And we make sure we compare healthy versus non-healthy. So when you do your test, when we finish from it, we look at, okay, are your microbes in balance? And if they are in balance, great. We tell you, okay, keep going. Okay. If they are out of balance, then we can look at what is the increase. Basically, you look at the level of each organism, or what we call in science abundance. And based on this abundance, we will be able to look at, okay, you have an increase, for example, Candida. Candida to be high is not good. So then we will start thinking, okay, how can we bring it down? The same with bacteria. There is some phylum called the Protobacteria. This is a pro-inflammatory organism. So the more of it, it's like a red flag of inflammation. And because of this, then we say, okay, if you have Protobacteria, you have to have vitamin B3, you have to have fibers, and this sort of thing. If you have Candida, stop eating the sugar, my friend, because fungus love sugar.
So you love sugar, huh? This fungi are here?
I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can.
So amazing. So you find out this information, and if you see an imbalance, you suggest treatments. Now, do treatments involve like antifungals and antibacterials if necessary, or are a lot of them natural?
Really, what we recommend is diet. Because diet, I'm telling you, people need to understand that you can balance your gut in your hand. You can do it. One by diet, Number two, we look at lifestyle, because in addition to knowing what your profile of microbes, we ask you questions. Do you exercise? Do you sleep? All of this is very, very important. So, or are you stressed out? And I'll tell you, who is not stressed out?
Right, yeah.
Okay. So with that, we then recommend dietary approach, lifestyle approach, as well as if you need some support, we can also say use these nutritional supplements, probiotics, fibers, and this sort of thing, or prebiotics.
I see. So without actually knowing your gut microbiome stance, can anyone just take a probiotic off the shelf at like a Whole Foods or something like that and just take it? Or do they need to know what's there to know a specific type of probiotic to take?
You see, if you go there and you don't know what's the difference in your gut, what is the imbalance, then you are doing it with not targeting.
Okay.
However, if you do the test, you will be able to know exactly, listen, this is where my problem is. So let me do something that I can fix. Okay? I tell you something, that this woman, she did a test with us, and she had out of balance microbiome. So we looked at it. She's eating great food. She should not have that. But we looked at the questionnaire. She is highly stressed. So we said, listen, in addition to taking this probiotic, you really should do some meditation, some yoga. You need to relax. And that's why it's more targeted, more personalized than just taking something off the shelf.
Yes. Okay. So we know probiotics. We hear a lot about prebiotics and postbiotics. You want to give us a quick little summary as to what those are?
Sure. Prebiotic are basically fibers. Why do we are talking fibers? Fibers which you can find in oatmeal, in beans, because our body does not break it down. When it reaches to our intestine, guess what? These good beneficial microbes in our body break it down as food, and when they take it, they start producing small molecules, metabolites that really help balance your gut. So really, prebiotics are basically food, whereas probiotics are live cells. Okay. Now, the last question which you asked, what about postbiotic?
Yeah.
So this is really another hot area we are starting to look at. Postbiotic, instead of using the live probiotic, you can do two things. Either you can take, postbiotics are what material or what compound, what metabolites these organisms secrete. So you take the filtrate, you grow the organism, you take the liquid, and whatever chemicals are there, you use them. Or you can take the live probiotic, you can kill them. So it's killed cells, and that's also another form of probiotic. So interesting about this, the liquid one is good if you want to balance your microbiome in the skin. Whereas if you want to take it in food, okay, then you need to use the dead ones.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow. So this is almost kind of like the poop of the microbiome actually turns out to be very beneficial for humans as well.
I love the way you describe it. It's exactly what it is. Whatever they secrete. So, yes.
Yes. Okay. So for people who want to understand a little bit more about gut testing and the different things that you do, where do they find out more information?
I think they can go to biomehealth.com,
Yep.
where we have a lot of educational material. Also, you can contact the people, through email, and people will help you. We have very good, really, customer service, which they can guide people, and that really working very well.
All right. My last question for you is, look, we know you're a history buff. We know you like walking your dog. We know you enjoy the exercise. But what has been your best medicine?
I am an optimistic person.
Yes, I can tell. I'm pretty sure everybody else here can tell as well.
And to me, life is hard. So it's very important that sometimes you put things into perspective and look for, always have hope. And it makes me feel okay, because sometimes it's hard and we all pass through hard times.
Yeah.
As long as you have hope and you try to address it, you'll be fine.
Hope being one of the best medicines. Dr. Ghannoum, thank you for being on the Thrive State podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if this podcast is bringing a lot of value to you, if you find that your life is just improving with this podcast, that your life is getting to the next level, please consider supporting it. And here's a few ways you can do so. You can do so by liking this video and commenting on this video, and also sharing this video with your friends and family. Another thing you can do is go to ratethispodcast.com/ThriveState. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review there. It will really help this show grow. And this will give me more time so that I could actually give more content to you, just like you got in this episode. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, Your Blueprint for Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance, you can pick it up now. It became a #1 new release in longevity. Go to thrivestatebook.com. And if you enjoy the book, please consider leaving us a review as well. And the last thing you can do, if you're liking everything here and you want to work more closely with me as well as my team to get you into the Thrive State, go to kienvu.com/accelerator and consider joining the home course, the Thrive State Accelerator. It's really the course that I use. It's the concepts that I use personally when I work with CEOs, celebrities, and my high-profile clients to get them to the Thrive State. Again, the Thrive State Accelerator at kienvu.com/accelerator. And because you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to save 25% by using the coupon code podcast25. I hope we continue to give value to you. And remember always, you are your best medicine.